Hit the lights!
You've discovered the Halfwatt podcast. We want to educate and entertain by tapping into the most trusted source of new technology, the ones installing and innovating it. You, the tradespeople that build from the ground up. Join us as we talk with industry leaders, veteran contractors, and even some young blood.
Welcome aboard. So for the roundtable tonight, we have Anna Rachel.
Hello.
Hi. And Gage.
Howdy.
My producer, which you all know by now. Thank you for staying here and talking to us.
Well, thank you for having me still.
Gage, do we have any emails?
I do believe that we received one listener email.
This has got to be an electrical email. Hold on. This is from a gentleman in Australia, it looks like. I didn't know we had any downloads, but his name is Ping. And Ping says that basically he has $10,500,000, and if I give him some information, he'll make sure that he can give me that money back.
I mean, we could really use that money.
We could really use that money in the
podcast.
podcast.
Oh my God!
I'm
Everyone
pretty
would
serial
know
right
who
now.
we were.
Okay, so
I'm pretty sure we could get 10 features from Drake with that kind of money.
I need some emails from people who are not telling me they have $10,500,000 in the bank, but they're dying of cancer. So please send us some emails. Tell us what you want. So we have Anna on board tonight, and Anna works for Convergent, and we've done a wonderful interview podcast with her and Gage. So this is our roundtable.
Yep.
Let's shoot the crap, as they say.
I know exactly where I want to start.
Do it. I love the email thing, but do you have $10,500,000 for me if I give you my banking information?
I don't.
Loser.
But sometimes it feels like I have $10,500,000 every time I clock in at work. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I became an electrician.
Mm-hmm.
How's that working out for you?
Not a millionaire.
Are you a millionaire, Anna?
I wish.
Oh,
Not yet.
man, the worst. Neither am I.
My problem is I don't buy lotto tickets, so.
Yeah. My problem is that I do. And I feel good when I'm like, there's a chance.
There always is a chance.
Retirement for people who can't do math. I buy them every once in a while.
Like, what are the chances? Like 1 in 100?
I'll get a feeling like, this is it, man. This is the one.
Yeah.
I'm going to win this. Mm-hmm. And I go out and I don't get one damn number.
Dang it.
I'll see a good spread, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's it.
That's going to be the one.
That's going to be the one.
I don't make nothing, man.
They have all sorts of crazy, like, scratch-off tickets these days, too, now. You know, you buy them, and you have to get, like, you practically play bingo and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I don't even do those. I don't have that gambling bug like some folks do, where like when I go to a casino and I watch, because I have family members that love to gamble, and I do it. Like I'll go and play blackjack and stuff like that, but then I'm like, I lose like $20 and I'm out.
Yeah. I start with 20, and if I lose it, I'm good.
Yeah. I can't. Like I just don't. Like I'm thinking that could be hay. It could be more hay. Wife. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just not a gambler at all. I take that back. I kind of started doing I did a couple sports bets this year, but it was like the same thing.
Oh, you do the sports balls?
Yeah, I love sports balls.
You do the sports balls?
Yeah.
Do you like sports too?
No.
Not at all? High five. Jesus. There's two of us here who do not do the sports balls. Tyler, do you do sports balls?
Tyler is
okay, so this is a 50-50.
Likely. If you catch him in a room, like, and there's like football on the TV, ask him what's happening. Like, hey, is your wife okay? Like, what?
I can't do that. I just have never gotten into it. My wife knows more about it than I do.
Really?
Like basketball, she can tell you all what's going on.
See, that's the one that I don't watch.
Which one has the home runs? Is it basketball?
That's
hockey, I think.
Soccer. Oh.
Hockey.
Whoops.
Just kidding.
Soccer.
No,
I do like
His name's
watching them in
Gage
person.
Runkle,
Yeah.
ladies and germs, and
I'm just kidding. I love the Sounders. I like soccer and football. I like hockey too.
What about lacrosse?
Oh yeah, I definitely like lacrosse.
really.
Oh yeah. Well, I won't play it, but I'll go watch. 18-year-olds lay each other out on a field. It's pretty fun. Or rugby. I used to watch high school rugby when my journeyman's son was still in high school. I'd go watch his rugby games. Pretty fun.
That's a pretty fun game to watch, right?
Yeah, surprisingly popular in Portland. Like you wouldn't
No, I could see
guess.
that
I could see
coming.
really.
That and kickball. I think kickball is pretty popular here too.
I could see that.
They have bicycle polo here. I didn't know that was a thing.
If it's weird, we've got it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could see that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, people make a lot of fun about Portland, but I'm telling you that of all the places I've lived, I like this the best.
Are they making fun or just stating facts?
No, it's true. No, I like it. It's
Yeah.
all the wackiness that happens, other than
Absolutely.
the some of the craziness was experienced of late.
Right.
I love it.
I just got into disc golf.
Yeah,
Do you guys
I've seen.
partake?
I
Do you guys,
don't.
I said, do you guys partake like it's like drugs? Like
No,
you
but I
guys
worked with a guy
partake
at
in the
Performance who was really into it.
Really?
And those guys they can chuck a frisbee. I mean, some serious distance. Like they're not like your normal frisbees. They're like special.
Oh.
Like they got all kind of frisbees. Like, oh, this is for this kind of shot. And I'm like, oh, you're so full of crap. No, it's they have like a little thing that they carry on the course
Oh.
for different shots in frisbee golf. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, I think I have like 22 discs, and that's
See?
like that's on the light side. Like my uncle has like 40. But they're actually starting to make money now. Like I know this has nothing to do with electricity, but the number one disc golfer in the country just signed a $10 million deal with like Discraft or something like that. One of the
Seriously.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's intense.
That's a lot of scratch. Do you get?
Do you hear Joe Rogan, Batman slapping Robin? Halfwatt podcast.
I like that
I
one.
like that. That's a good meme.
I can't wait to post all these
Do it.
So we're making memes for the Half Watt podcast.
for like the last hour. That's the producer's booth for you. Mike's doing his noble work while we're getting down and dirty in the trenches making these memes.
No bull. Yeah, you guys can
Don't
make your
say
own
that.
memes and email it to us at halfwattpod.com. Right?
I would love for you guys to make us memes. That'd be great. And that's to whoever's listening to this.
So we just email them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
to the
it's
Half
I
Watt
got to make sure I get it right.
podcast.
Halfwattpod
Pod.
at gmail.com.
Nailed
Halfwattpod
it.
at gmail.com. Nailed it.
I can't wait for Honest. Just the smile on her face. I'm like, oh,
I
this is
have
gonna
some
be a good
ideas.
one.
I was blown away to find out her husband works at a place that I worked at. That's just too cool.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah,
So does my mom
absolutely.
and my sister as well.
What?
Nah, my sister does. She practically almost runs the IT department. She's up there, and then my mom delivers toner to all the hospitals. So important work,
It's a family affair.
That's great.
right?
It's a family affair. I love that.
Is that an actual song?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
God, you're young.
I thought you were just spitting.
No, man, it's a real song. I was listening to some music before I came in tonight just to get all psyched out.
I saw that.
Yeah.
He was headbanging.
I was to Jesus Jones, but
Right.
I guess, or James, but
Half Watt karaoke after this.
okay,
Yeah.
signed up.
Even Tyler's nodding out in the booth.
Tyler. Well, we've covered nothing at this point except the fact that two of us like the sports balls and two of us don't. So let's talk about some electrical stuff.
I don't know what you guys is. I heard you guys talking about lifts earlier. I don't know what your preference is, but man, I love United Rentals.
Yeah.
I get all my.
We used most of our stuff from Ahern last time I was.
Okay.
But UR's good. I mean, I personally rented from them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah. Absolutely. When I built my barn, I had to rent.
Oh, okay. Boom.
Sure. It's a forklift. It's a fork.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fork thing
Right.
that you drive that will keep the pallet level, and the machine has 4-wheel drive
Okay.
and
That sounds
4-wheel
fancy.
steering. And it had a specific name, and my contractor was like, "You need to rent this thing."
Yeah, tactical forklift.
Sure.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know what the hell it was called. It was absolutely the most. It was so cool to drive and use, and I was able to drive and hang the I'm not a construction guy.
Right.
Rafters? No, not the
Okay.
rafters. The
beams?
Trusses.
Trusses, yes.
Right.
Those are important.
Those things.
I've heard that. I've heard that.
For about 3 weeks, I built this barn with this contractor. He just kind of helped me, and then he just kind of said, do the rest of it. And
Right.
I got done. I stood back and I went, thank God I never have to build another one. But my guess is that that will change at some point. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's not wired, so it doesn't have like any electrical stuff in it. Like I
Okay.
didn't. It's actually an ag building that you don't put water or power in it. You just
No animals in it.
Yeah, there's animals in
Okay.
it, but as long as they're not watching TV, everything's good.
Yeah. You're lucky.
I snorted.
You're lucky. My goats are constantly on demand, renting things without permission.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they love anything Seth Rogen. I don't even have goats.
Just make sure that they'll get your Amazon account. They might
No.
order a bunch of
Oh,
stuff.
jeez.
Have
I
you
heard
seen-
they'll eat anything.
Have you ever seen fainting goats?
Yes.
That's a real thing.
Those are hilarious.
Yeah, they've got them over in Beaver Creek. Like, got them right on Beaver Creek Road. Like, there's like some sort of a fainting. Is that Randy?
It is.
Hey,
No
holy
kidding.
cow! It's the whole Clausen clan.
Heck yeah.
So my one of my employees and a guy who works with Anna, he programs EST3, works for PSI. I worked with him at Western. I've worked with him at PSI. He was my student. He's just as handsome now as he was before, and he's like an MMA guy. So
Oh, he's blushing.
He is blushing.
Blushing and flexing.
So yeah, it's good to see him, man. So awesome. I like it. This is we still haven't talked anything electrical.
No.
We've talked fainting
Well, I was
goats
getting-
and
I was gonna
autos.
get,
Yeah, you wax eloquent.
Yeah, so I couldn't get this lift that I ordered up a ramp. And I'd gotten the lift, dropped off on Friday, could not get it up the ramp. I called them Tuesday and was like, hey, I had issues. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll send somebody out in the next 2 hours, and then we'll just start at today's going to be your first day. And so I just like wiped everything.
Nice.
And came out, got her done, and then it was only like 2 hours worth of work that I needed it for, just to go get a camera 25 feet up in a warehouse. But that they take care of you down there.
Yeah, they do. It's a good company. It's a really good company. I
Is that
do.
a sponsor?
No,
Should
that
be.
one's a freebie.
It's a freebie. Yeah, we don't. We are still looking for sponsors. Like
Okay.
we've solicited some folks and thrown some ideas out there. So when we get obviously our downloads are increasing. We've got listenership, and I got contacted by Brian, who moved to one of the instructors who moved down to Arizona. So it's in Arizona, right,
Nice.
and Germany. So
Nice.
there you go.
Nice.
This
Yeah.
is international now. This is
It's
a big deal.
Toast International.
Yeah.
I'm definitely making a meme
Do.
listening to an international podcast.
See,
Actually.
I think it's going places.
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, it's basically doubling every week in listeners,
Like
at
a
least for like the
virus.
last 3 weeks. Yeah,
Score.
exactly.
Speaking of viruses, so yeah, it's actually increasing. So I mean, I think we do a hell of a job. So I programmed and have been stuck in front of a computer programming to the point that I have to use a vertical mouse now.
Oh.
Because having my hand, just putting my hand in this position where it's down on top of a regular, IBM mouse is hurting that.
You get tennis elbow.
Is that what that is? Where there's this tendon right here goes wonky?
It's one of those. Either golfers or tennis elbow. I don't know.
Do you get that too?
Yeah, you're like,
Oh, it's
your
the worst.
extensors just get cranky.
Well, so I bought a vertical mouse so I could do that, which works pretty good, right? And that definitely took the tension off because I'm looking at all this programming I've got to do. I've got no choice but to sit and stew in front of my computer for the next week and a half as I'm piecing all this crap together.
Like a lot of fun, actually. Minus the pain.
It is, but I have all these other things that we need to do, like valves and stuff to tie in and real work. So now, I've got to piece it all together and plus troubleshoot whatever pops up because, it is a hospital and things get dirty and break and stuff like that.
It's a big hospital.
It's okay.
It's a monster.
How I think it's the biggest one in Oregon, and it's probably giving Seattle.
It's a monster. I mean, and not in a bad way. I mean, it literally is a beast. And when I went to get my insurance, because I have my insurance there, obviously, I didn't realize that they had partnered with Adventist. So I did not know that. I didn't know that either. So I was like, oh, well, it's closer and more convenient for us to use them. So I'm minding my own business as I do. Take my wife in Adventist. She has some imaging done. I'm rolling out of the parking lot. Her phone goes off. They've already read the image. We haven't even left the parking lot.
What?
Yeah.
This is unheard of.
I know. I haven't even left the parking lot yet.
Wow. I'm
like, you got to be kidding me. It's just because she rattles all this and none of us understand it because it's like in Latin or something.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that sounds bad. And
no, that all means it's normal.
Yeah. I don't, it doesn't mean it was good.
Yeah.
And so I thought, that's really, really fast. And they were like, it's a whole different, world I've never been to like that. And so she has another image. This time we get out of Adventist to get onto a 5 South. That's when they read it.
Oh.
She just had another one done. They read it within 10 minutes.
Jeez.
They're interpreting it and giving us what the heck's going on.
I need to get referrals to that place.
Blown away.
Yeah.
So they've partnered with them, and I think Tuality, but don't quote me on that, so that they can have that outreach out there, and so it's transparent. Like you could do it on the Hill, you could do it out at Adventist. They don't care. So my primary care physician, everything is now right in the area, like right in Sunnyside or just north of it, and it's like. So for health insurance reasons, I mean, that's a big deal when you get my age, dude.
Yeah.
This just means you get the bill faster, too, though.
You do. You do. But the health insurance that they have is like...
That's awesome.
It's fantastic. So that's one of the advantages of
it'd be kind of cool being one of those people to interpret those pictures.
I think so.
I find it fascinating.
I find the imaging... like CAT scans and MRIs and PET scans and stuff like that. Like, because I see them in the hospital all the time, but I do my best now to not like goggle, right? Hey, who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't pay attention to the name.
Yeah. Well, they take that seriously.
Yeah.
But like when I first worked there, it was a whole different. They were just getting into Epic and all the patient confidentiality. Now, it's like a serious thing. You take a memory stick, put it in any of our computers, it won't. You can't read it. Nothing. It'll encrypt it. Like if you say, "Oh, you want this encrypted?" Sure. Bam. Okay. Guess what it is now. So they take their game so seriously that every single step in IT, like even our computers that we use for our network, have to be vetted by IT so they. And it was the IT department up there and the telecommunications folks up there who sort of set the standard on how they would do what they did on the Hill. my hat's off to him. Like
Yeah.
the latest building I walked into to do work, it's called ECEC, and it's Elks. It's down by KCI. I walked in the MDF telecom rooms, and I'm just floored. I'm floored at how they're laid out. They're laid out so logically. If you needed to pull a cable
Right.
from that room up 4 floors, you could do it in less than 50 minutes.
I like that.
I mean,
Right.
even the way that they did the fire ceiling is like they've got these thing. I can't describe it.
It's art, isn't it?
It is art.
Absolutely.
And it was all done by the IT and the telecommunications people. I bumped ugly with a guy up there when I was there the first time because I wanted to haul through his raceway. So there was a 3/4 inch raceway, and I needed to haul some 18.2 through it. And I said, "Hey, I'm going to ask, so I just don't haul through there because it's his tell." And he says, "No."
Right. Huh.
And I was like, "You're a jerk," And I got into this big fight with him. And
Right.
he was like, "I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm following the code.
Yeah.
The code says no." I'm like, "Yeah. And he basically, after I made a big stink of it, he goes, "You cannot haul through my raceway because you people, being you, being low voltage fire alarm people, you don't know how to do isolation modules. You don't know what the hell you're doing." And I was like, "Oh, how dare you be right?" Absolutely 100% right. The guy was 100% right. We didn't at the time.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, if I'm going to pull between
Well,
buildings,
Let us inform you.
let us. If I'm going to pull between buildings,
Okay.
now the code says you will use isolation modules, so that
Okay.
if building A gets struck by lightning, it doesn't roll into building B. So isolation modules, Dytech is what I think we use,
Yeah.
will stop that from happening. So there's devices in there, metal oxide varistors and spark gaps and things like that to keep the eddy currents from. If you get struck by
Okay.
lightning directly, there's not a whole lot of isolation you can do about it. You're gonna get nailed. But so now every pull, you have to have those in between those buildings. You guys use them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Between buildings.
You have to.
Yeah, it's a requirement.
You don't want something like that to take out your entire infrastructure or an entire building when you can reduce it to a smaller section.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
You have to use them. You have to use them in some
I'm
places.
sure we do, but I went to service a couple years ago, so I'm like so far out of the loop right now.
Oh, so you're not doing any installs, so you don't really get a chance to see that.
Yeah. So I'm just like finding basically a lot about the stuff that now I'm actually learning what all the stuff that I've been installing for years does.
Oh, nice.
And I'm getting like really good at access control, but yeah, all this stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of falling out of the loop, I feel like.
No, because if you got into this
Also,
discipline,
we don't pull a lot of cable.
but if you got into this discipline and figure it out, then there's other stuff. Like I don't know anything about cameras. Like I
Right.
don't know anything about cameras.
They have IPs sometimes. IP addresses.
Right.
I know, right?
Right. But I just don't. This is not my cup of tea.
Right. Yeah.
And if you said, "Hey, I want you to go out and," no, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So I mean, this. A friend of mine is gonna move to another state, and we were talking about this move, and what is happening there with low voltage and limited energy versus here. And I said, you just happen to be in the cutting edge. I mean, this is the tip of the spear, right here in Oregon. This is it. This is where this is happening. This is where the good chunk of the
Mecca.
nation is going. Holy cow! How come you're cranking out? I think we're putting out 90 apprentices. 90 are going to graduate this year. Okay, to be LEAs and Bs. 90
That's so many.
from these two programs, and we are producing limited energy technicians, to the tune of 90 in a year, that are walking out and the industry needs more. So we're clearly doing something right. So he's going to a state where, they're still clanking rocks together, trying to figure out what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And I said, but that's not. But that's an opportunity for you to mirror. You could be a Dave Gilson there. You can be Mike Brooks there. You can be a Gage Runkle there. You could be be an Anna there.
Yeah.
Like you could be that there. Like you could be the person who starts that ball rolling.
Absolutely.
Because it doesn't. It happened here.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I certainly wasn't.
Someone started it.
Someone started it. Mario.
Yeah.
Dave. Eva, all those folks that have been, Christy or Cindy Regier, all these folks have been pushing this for all these years, and now it's coming to fruition. Now here we are.
Booming.
That's the idea here, is that we're taking this whole discipline to the next level, and as all these new technologies come in, right, we pick up that ball and run with it.
Damn, 90, and that's not even including IBEW.
No. That's not including IBW.
And
which is even bigger.
Yeah.
Which is even bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably looking at least 200.
I'm telling you, if you are not in this industry, and like in the case of Anna, if you are a woman and you need employment, this is the place for you to be.
Oh yeah, you're a shoo-in for the apprenticeship program. If you're a woman and you're interested, you're at the top of the line. You guaranteed don't have to wait to get in, whereas there's a lot of other gentlemen that do. There is a wait list.
There's a wait list.
Yeah, there was a wait list when I was in the apprenticeship waiting, and I was able to go right in. And I mean, I definitely feel privileged for it, but it's also an experience.
I know somebody who waited a year and 6 months to get in.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, a veteran. Hey, veterans. Another one. Right in.
Oh yeah.
And minorities.
Immediately.
And my minorities. I mean, we need minorities here. We need folks to speak different languages here.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I can't tell you how useful that is. I had an apprentice that spoke really good Spanish, and I'm in a scissor lift on a construction site, and these painters, there was so many of them. I was like, man, they got their whole company out here. Right. And my apprentices just ran over there, talked to him. They parted like the Red Sea, and I was like, you're awesome.
Nice.
And it's every language. It's Russian. It's Spanish.
Oh yeah, a lot of
Vietnamese,
Russian and Ukrainian too.
It's everybody. So I think I said this before, but I had a kid walk up to me one time, and he was Ethiopian, and I said, he goes, "How do I get into this? What college did you go to?" And I says, "This is bend tin, hang wallboard, hang pipe, solder, do something with your hands." And I said, "So you're here." Use those skills, get into a trade, and if there's another, somebody in your culture who's got a company like that, jump on board that, and help make that company something big, because you can at least cater to folks in your own community, and learn how to cater to folks outside that community.
Absolutely.
And he's like, I never thought of that. And I'm like, I appreciate it, but now you have. Now go forth and conquer.
Yeah.
Be that.
Yeah, go forth.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm a huge believer in equality, in getting folks, especially since there's a language barrier. As everybody knows, who's ever gone through my fire alarm class, I like reader boards. I think reader boards are not used in fire alarm systems as often as they should be. Okay. Now I have been in a voice evac system that did voice evacuation in English and Spanish.
Okay.
I've been in those, and I thought that's brilliant. It would do one round in English and one round in Spanish. Well, that was in Southern California. Okay. Well,
that makes sense.
And even though I'm from there, I should speak Spanish. I'm just an idiot and didn't learn it. But it makes total sense. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have that language? Well, you could have reader boards also put up what's going on, and you could put it in 6 or 8 different languages. Because in a hospital, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's at least 8 languages that you're going to always have to have interpreters for and people involved in. And it's our job to make sure that those folks that are here, if you happen to speak, Russian, then you need to have an interpreter for that. And we pay people to interpret for you. So why wouldn't our systems that service all of our clients also do that. And we have wayfinding that's in multi-languages. To me, I would think that the next step would be to add that to the fire system. And reader boards, LED reader boards will give you just that. And in an airport and in hospitals, I think that should be critical, in the convention centers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And EST
especially those places where they already have the screens in a lot of places,
I tested fire alarm systems I tested one time in a place in Beaverton where it was mostly Hispanic, and they when I fired that system off, I panicked like 3 or 4 folks. I mean, panicked. And so, and I'm so an alarm de fuego. How do I say I'm testing the fire system? So finally, this little kid, this little 6-year-old, 8-year-old kid comes up, and I said, "Do you speak English?" She goes, "Yeah, of course." I said, "Well, then tell, whoever this is that I'm testing the alarm system." He turned right around, told him, and everybody calmed down. And they all just told each other like that. And I'm like, okay, this is on me. Mm-hmm. Like, this not on the manager or the property manager there. This is on me to really have a way for me to let people know not to panic when I set this thing off, because they don't know. And I'm just, that's just the way I think. And maybe people may not agree with it, and that's me.
I think another useful one would be ASL as well. People who can't even hear, they see the strobes flashing, but they're like, they can't hear you say.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's
you could have that on a.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I've been thinking about getting into.
You can hear the gears whine on that one.
Mm-hmm.
T-shirts with like the hands.
No, reader boards. You could have LED reader boards do ASL, American Sign Language. Mm-hmm. You could have you could have an LED board sign. You could do a sign. Or you could have that's a $1 million idea.
I'll patent that right now.
Do it. That is patented by Anna Rachel right here on this show.
What's today's date?
June 16th.
Yeah.
Of 2022.
Good. Yeah. No, please patent that, because if Big Pharma gets a hold of it, we're going to have a lot more deaf people in America.
But that is a stroke of brilliance. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a very underrated language, unfortunately. Not a lot of people know about it. They don't think about it because we go through our day not even like, we can hear, we can speak, we can see just fine. But people who have trouble hearing, they can see things, but they can still be really confused.
Right, and they have to read lips to figure out what's going on, or they have to sign with somebody who's with them.
Yeah.
And if you had a place, God, that is, or even if you didn't sign, you could just at least roll it up.
Yeah.
In words, but both. Mm-hmm. That's brilliant.
In Virginia, when I was growing up,
that's not a real place.
It's
Virginia.
It isn't. My elementary school and my middle school were the schools where all the deaf people went to school. So no matter where you lived, you went there because that's where they had the deaf programs. And when I was in elementary school and like early middle school, I could actually like sign pretty well. And I had like a deaf friend that I hung out with all the time.
Kidding.
His name was Spencer Nair. Yeah, and his brother was like fully deaf, and he was like half deaf, and I have no idea. I think I know like ABC now, but
it's something that you could pick up.
It was really cool.
Yeah, my oldest daughter was fluent in sign language. So but yeah.
So it's like her job, like again, back in my school, like 5th grade, you'd have the teacher and then like a sign language interpreter next to her, just like signing in a classroom. Is that what she's doing? Or
no. She just went to school for it.
Oh, okay.
But she was fluent in it. Yeah. So it was pretty interesting. I just never thought about that. That's a good idea. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, because if you're blind but can still hear, you can hear the announcements. Or at least hear the horn strobes, depending on, I don't know, you might be deaf after hearing some of those horns.
That whole scene, though, where you hit silence and then the strobes continued, did you ever hear that brouhaha that happened with that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, do you know the story behind that?
Mm-mm.
So she does. So I'll tell you then. So the story is that we used to you can still do this on some programs, but you hit silence, the alarm silence, the strobes would continue, but the audibles would quit.
Okay, no, I've seen that.
Okay, that was a misunderstanding on ADA, and it's actually discriminatory towards people who are hearing impaired, because the audibles quit, but the visual still continues. So if you're hearing impaired, you don't know. So you're still standing outside going, "What the hell's going on?" Everybody's going back in the building, and I don't know any better. I have to find out why.
Right.
And so that particular bit of code was never meant to be used in that fashion, but it's still on a lot of fire panels there.
Yeah.
So the idea is when you hit silence, everything silences. Then I've had fire marshals come back and make us program it that way. There's a school district right here local, within just a couple, 10 miles of here, where they do that. They make you leave the strobes on until reset.
Huh.
Strobes on until reset.
Right.
Yeah. Straight goods. Complete misunderstanding of the code.
And then there's you can't silence the audibles if it's a water flow.
I had a Siemens system that did that to me once, and there's a certain type of dry pipe valve, a Victaulic dry pipe valve that has these little tiny holes where the clapper is, and the matter of fact, Joe Price was the one that helped me troubleshoot. I couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with this thing. I could not figure it out. It went into alarm, and that was it.
Yeah.
The pressure switch stuck on, and I couldn't get it to clear. So the only way I could get it to clear was to take the pressure off the manual way, which blows it out on the wall. And so I'm like, oh my God. And it kept plugging up. And I'm like, what the hell's going on with this thing? So I called Joe out, and he goes, oh, yeah. Pulls the clapper up. There's holes right here. You just can't see it. Gets a bottle of nitrogen. Boom. Blows them all out. So you could see them. There's like 6 holes there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's where what we call the intermediate chamber, that's where the water goes after it floods. That's where the alarm line is. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. He goes, yeah, it's a design flaw. They subsequently have had to
Replace
remake
them,
that. Make it a little bit better so it doesn't. Long story short, it locked this FS250 in, and it would not clear.
Oh, yep.
And it doesn't matter what the hell you do.
Yep.
And so you either have to take the water off the pressure switch. So I got it reset, and we figured out what was wrong like that. But every time this thing tripped, if that problem came back, there was no way for the client to stop the bells. And this is like in an assisted care facility or something like that. So it just rang.
Not the place you want to have that continuously going.
So they put in a way that they could pull the battery and kill the power to the panel, which is what it drove them to do. So so instead of having fire protection to silence the damn bells because of a technical malfunction with a valve that these people didn't know was going to have that issue,
right?
They kill the power to the panel. That's the solution.
That's ultimately what you got to do. Yeah.
Which is nuts. So they lose their fire protection because of boo.
Makes you take drastic measures, and
When
people will get creative.
When did Simplex Cornell become just Simplex?
I didn't know it was Simplex. Oh, you mean Simplex Grinnell? It was Simplex, and then I think they bought Grinnell, and so then it was Simplex Grinnell. So Grinnell was a sprinkler company. Grinnell's one of the oldest sprinkler companies around.
Yeah, okay, because that's my grandpa was a sprinkler guy.
Yeah, and he worked for Grinnell.
Okay.
Everybody did.
Yeah, he always said Simplex before Grinnell, though. So I was
it was Simplex Time Recorder Company.
Okay.
Because they were time clock company.
Okay.
And they also did fire alarm systems.
Awesome.
And I was hired to be a time monkey. I wasn't a fire alarm guy. Yeah.
You know that reminds me
because of the copiers. Because I worked on photocopiers.
That reminds me of this this video I just saw on the internet. Guy walks into Yamaha and he's like, "Hey, I'm trying to find a piano," and they're like, "Absolutely." And here's the pianos. Awesome. Just throwing it out there. Do you also know where I could get a dirt bike? And they're like, "You're not going to believe this."
Yeah. So they bought Grinnell, I think in the 90s, and then it merged it called Simplex Grinnell, and then it was all bought by Tyco,
Okay.
And then under the Tyco umbrella, they put a bunch of companies, and then JCI bought the whole shooting match.
Because didn't Tyco? I'm really showing my age here. Didn't Tyco buy ADT at one point?
Yes,
Or
but
maybe part
I
of
think
it.
ADT is split into two groups. Remember we talked to the manager,
Yeah,
and he said
right.
that it's actually two
Oh, it's two separate companies.
two separate companies.
Yeah, like we work for, like, because I mean ADT.
There's ADT
but-
commercial and ADT
Yeah.
non-commercial.
Because there's
home.
commercial, and we're just a bunch of electricians, mostly fire, mostly a fire company actually, and then the guys that go to your house, where they're a
Exactly.
totally different
Totally different
company,
company.
different offices. Yeah.
Yep. So I think that, but what I kind of asked him, is that part of JCI? He's like, I think you're thinking of the other one. I'm like, okay, so I don't really know how that all. I know it's on the side of the vans,
Yeah, exactly.
Medisys and you know, a bunch of other stuff.
Who are those guys that are driving downtown, and it says like Tyco, Simplex.
Yeah, it's got all these different companies
Yeah,
on it.
it's like
That's JCI.
Johnson Controls.
That's
Johnson Controls.
Yeah.
JCI, right.
And so they're all, you could see the merging of a lot of these groups, because Honeywell owns and builds Gamewell, Notifier, Honeywell, Silent Night, and there's one other.
There's
big
someone
one.
at home screaming or
No,
sitting
there's
in his
one.
van
Yeah, there's
screaming.
one other too that they mean. System Sensor and Extralis is owned by Honeywell. Honeywell owns all that, and so if it's not Honeywell, then it's EST, which is owned by Carrier.
Yep.
Or it's Siemens, which is they make their own stuff, right?
Right.
Yep.
So those are those three, and then JCI, which is Johnson Controls.
Right.
They have their own panels, their own stuff, which is like a kind of a repackaged notifier to some degree, the bigger ones, and then Simplex. And
Okay.
Simplex has a non-proprietary version. So if you have a Simplex 4100, you could rip it off and put an autocall in.
Mm-hmm.
An autocall will talk to the Simplex device.
Okay.
So autocall's out there too. But I've never seen one, but I know they're there. So, and that's it. Those are the big players in the market. And there's a lot of smaller ones like Fike and Potter and that.
Man, I know like all those companies, but I just don't touch fire.
Well, you shouldn't. It burns you.
I'm gonna go.
It is with us. It's just that once, like I told my friend, if you can program in these big systems like this, you are marketable anywhere. You know.
Oh yeah, the whole country, I'd imagine.
The whole country. Yeah, I mean, there's no place you've got an ISET 3 and an ESD3 cert.
Mm-hmm.
2 licenses, one in Washington, one in Oregon. Right?
Nice.
I could do it.
You can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah. And it pays your bills.
Absolutely, it does.
So
Yeah, I mean
It's proven to be recession, pandemic proof. It's just stable, because it's required. It's code driven, I mean, you're always going to need to have fire protection because fire doesn't care that there's a pandemic or any of that stuff.
Neither does the HJ.
No,
oddly
exactly.
enough.
Yeah.
it's protected by licensing in like how many states? At least 20.
That I couldn't tell you.
20 something where you actually have to have like basically something similar to the 06 in Washington or LEA in Oregon. And then you pretty much have to have an ISET no matter what state you're in, right?
NISET is
part.
not a requirement. It's not even a requirement in Oregon.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
But it is if you want to sign,
Permits and stuff
sign,
like that.
certain jurisdictions will require it. To approve plans, it could either go to an engineer or it might go to somebody who's a NISET 4 or 3.
Okay.
It's not required by the state, but certain jurisdictions do. Like in Vancouver, you have to have at least a NISET 2 and your ELO 6.
And your Vancouver endorsement.
The endorsement, that
those
you have
three
to have
things.
those two to get the endorsement.
Yeah,
So that
exactly.
you can then do
so
work.
that you can then do work in Vancouver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it keeps the pool of people who can work in Vancouver very small.
It's smart. I mean,
It is.
Elevator Union's been very successful at doing that exact same thing for a very long time.
A little gatekeepy though.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with that.
There's a steel curtain.
But it's totally achievable.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's not we're not talking a really super difficult test. I did find the Washington test to be comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
I have an 8006 there too, and both of the tests were not impossible to do, but they were challenges.
Yeah. I thought it was actually quite a bit harder, the Washington one.
I thought it was too.
Because
WAC and RCW was like that. I did not think you could write that many good questions off of so few sheets of paper.
right?
Yeah.
I was like, who came in here and wrote this?
Yeah.
I was like, these guys are good.
Yeah, L&I they are not messing around
No,
up
they
there.
don't. They
And even in their backflow testing, I never got backflow certified in Washington. I was just backflow certified in Oregon for a number of years, and I knew guys that went to the Washington that came out of there in tears.
Oh, wow.
They came out of there in tears because they had failed. They had never failed anything, and they couldn't. And they've been testing backflows for years, and they couldn't pass Washington's rigid requirements for backflow.
I won't tell you how many tries it took for me to get my Oregon or my NICET one. All the other ones I passed first try, but there's a trick to it though too, to take those tests, because it's not necessarily about knowing all of the different codes, because you have to have like big brain for all that stuff if you want to memorize it all, but you got to know how to find those codes, like where the key locations are to look up those buzzwords that they're looking for, and then to go to that correct section. And that, like, once I figured that out, and then also with all those tests, you got to go in with the mindset of answer everything that you do know and flag the stuff that you don't. And for me, taking a test, that was really difficult to wrap my brain around, because I wanted to answer and answer everything before I moved on to the next ones. I hated the flagging and having to go back. I'm like, it's incomplete. But once I, got that through my thick skull, no issues there.
The strategy is key.
A strategy, exactly. Yeah. But it's very, very important to learn, because if you're on the spot and you've got an AHJ telling you, no, it needs to be this way, and you're like, well, here's the code. And you got to be able to look that up pretty quickly, because they're going to turn around and walk away and you're not going to pass.
That's a good key. And then when I do the stump the chump thing in specialized controls, it is simply that. It's like how fast can you scan through this page and look for a word that stands out? Yeah. And now with everybody using PDFs, they're using, okay, well then learn how to use Control F. Yeah. And so the students that have been nailing it are the ones that are just searching with their PDFs, and they're learning how to. So that's a tool you got to learn, because there's papers going away.
I wish I had PDFs when I was going through.
I do too. I do too.
That wasn't a thing back then, not for code.
Well, I graduated 2 years ago, and we weren't even using PDFs.
They're starting to do that.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. So now,
there's your problem.
Yeah.
there's your problem right there.
I was the last class. They cut school a week short, and we're just like, hey, you're not taking finals next week. You're taking them today.
Oh wow.
And then,
that's when the Rona first came out.
Yeah. And then we had to wait, instead of testing like 3 weeks later, we had to wait like 4 months, and everyone in my class, it was my class, was the whole exam, and we all had to drive down to Salem to take the test.
I remember Eva talking about that. Yeah.
And well, I passed, so I'm not going to complain.
No, because we stopped teaching for a term to move everything to Moodle, so that I could get my ass handed to me by that program. It's a good program.
Oh, it is.
But it's just when you build a Moodle course, you're putting all the back stuff in.
It's as good as the input that you give it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I took over Brian's class when he left, and it walloped me. Like his Moodle was like master's level Moodle, and I thought I kind of knew what I was doing. No, I was still tinkering.
What's Moodle?
With ABC blocks. It's the learning program. It's a open source learning software database thing, and it was built, I think, in Australia.
Okay.
And so it's become a de facto standard in education facilities, how they use it. And so you have to program it. And so they teach you how to make the shell and how to populate it and how to do stuff. And it's very powerful. And I've taught off of the one that Clackamas has, and I've taught off the one that IEC has. But IEC uses a contractor called ATP to do their work.
Okay.
So ATP builds it for you. And then when you use their Moodle, it's already designed and it's just plug and play. Okay, that was my exposure to that. Okay, they've got a nice, easy to run system. It makes a lot of sense. They help you out with it. Clackamas helped me out building my specialized controls ones, but I had to build it myself. So the first one was like, hey, faceplant. Okay. So we figured it out. And then I took over, but Victoria and Brian had been using Moodle way back. Like they were early adopters of this. So then I took Brian's class over, and it was just like, oh my God, this thing is intense. And he had all kinds of stuff happening in there that I didn't know anything about. Neither did my students, because I didn't know what to tell. So he was teaching them all the pitfalls, and he was already in Arizona. So I was like, I'll do my best here, and let me run with my shoelaces tied. Oh, it's my turn. Crash. And it's just, the whole thing.
Actually, I think I do know what Moodle. Yeah, because I took one. Well, I won't say that. My first AP class that I took in high school was my sophomore year. I took AP World History, and I think now that I'm thinking about it, I think we used that.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Back in like 2010, 2011.
It's a really neat thing when you learn it and figure it out. But you get kind of a brain overload because you work on databases all day. You work on your three database. I work in the Simplex database, and then you have all these other programs that you have to do for your work. They're all computer based, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then your phone, which is large database. Right?
Look at screens all day.
Everywhere we go.
Yeah.
Like I was just telling my apprentice the other day, I said, where everybody's worried about AI, it's already here.
Oh yeah.
We've been on AI for a decade, and like I watch my grandkid with her iPad, and if you want to upset a kid, take that iPad. Like one of you is going to come out with a shin that's going to hurt. And it ain't gonna be you. Or it ain't gonna be there. It's gonna be you. I mean, she's attached to that thing, and that is where they're getting all their information. That's where they're getting.
Yeah, they're growing up with it, which makes it advance that much faster because they're like, oh yeah, this is. It moves so fast. It
moves incredibly fast.
Yeah.
She is so good with what she does on that computer and I say that iPad, but I mean I run Apple products all the time. But But I don't know what the hell she's looking at. I don't, she comes up and tells me about all these games as Roblox and stuff that she's playing, and I'm just like, wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
And that game, from what I hear, I've never played it, but Roblox is a whole program in and of itself. Like you could do so much with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she built like a park. Like she's showing me all the stuff that she built. Like she engineers and puts it all together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but like you hand her $10, that $10 is going to get converted somewhere into some computer game. So it's feeding this machine. So someone's making money on it, right?
Oh yeah.
Of course. Speaking of AI programming, all this stuff. While we're on the topic, I don't know if you guys saw that Netflix documentary on like social media and like.
I don't think I've seen the one that you're talking about, but I've heard a lot about it.
Worked at like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook that just like they couldn't do it anymore. It's crazy. They know exactly what your average time that you spend on the app is.
Oh wow.
And they purposely send things that are very popular at those times to try to keep you
engaged
and stay on it for like longer and longer. And they know how often you like things. So if you're scrolling without liking things, they don't want you to get off, because every scroll, or 2 scrolls, there's an ad, and that's money for them. So they will purposely send multiple things that they know you like in there, so that you can get that little brain chemistry going again.
That dopamine.
Thank you. I couldn't for some reason.
I'm telling you, man. It is Facebook and
screen addiction is a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Absolutely.
And it's like, what's weird is I was told my wife, I said, I got to get new glasses because the more I write code, the worse it's getting, right? But I could easily sit at home and do. I'm stuck on Reddit right now. Reddit's my new.
I had to delete it.
I had to delete Twitter. I had to get rid of Twitter.
I did that a long time ago. I was like, I'm gonna get addicted to this like everyone else.
I don't dislike it. I had
it.
to just take a break from it because I'm like, I can't stop reaching out to people and going flick, like, I can say this about you.
That's ignorant.
Me and 62,000 other people go. It's like, it's ridiculous. Like, if I feel like I'm back in school. I feel like I'm back in grade school, and you've got a Charlie Brown lunchbox, so I'm going to make fun of you because you got a Charlie Brown lunchbox. What the hell's wrong with me?
Oh, for sure. I want to give South Park a little more credit than that. Probably like a third of like their jokes, they're just like, thank you, Twitter. Thank you, Twitter.
I think you're right. Which is why that show was so damn relevant.
I love
those
South
guys.
Park.
You watch South Park?
Oh yeah.
High five.
I haven't watched the most recent stuff, but I'm
the COVID stuff's
very
funny.
familiar.
The
with
COVID stuff was just.
See, I haven't seen any of that yet.
I laughed so hard. I think my wife was going to call 911. I honest to God, the 2 COVID, the last episode they did in the COVID special were so funny.
Right. I was so scared that like it was just going to be like everything else, just like God, I get it. Yeah, COVID. But they went above and beyond, and
they're able to take something that is
so
splitting
funny.
Society, like an argument that splits society, like left and right politics, and mix those things.
Yeah.
So that you can't be mad at either one, and make fun of them both.
Yeah.
And do it so completely that you laugh at yourself when you're done, going, "Why am I splitting hairs with people I like?"
Right.
Because I don't agree with them politically, or I don't agree with. It's like, what the hell is wrong with me?
It helps you see things from a different perspective.
It does.
And that's important.
I think you're right, because there's so much division.
Yeah.
That there needs to be some unity, and that's one of the reasons. Like on Facebook, I've exasperated. That's the right word. Trying to unify, and then find myself dividing as I read stuff and just getting upset. And I'm like, okay, I have to stop. It's not Facebook's fault.
Right.
It's not the person who's posting this stuff's fault. It's my fault. Like I somewhere I just need to go. I'm not going to be offended by this stuff and move on.
Yeah.
And just get the hell over it. But the there's no I in team, right?
Depends on how you spell it. The font.
Hold on. Our one German listener, how do you spell team in German?
How do you spell team in German?
Oh God.
Okay, no pressure, Anna.
No pressure. No, I haven't spoken in like 20 years. I'm sorry.
All right, you guys continue. I'm gonna look it up.
Google it.
That's how you spell it. You look on Google.
Yeah.
But anyway, that uniting behind things and trying to reach across the aisles and not be, divisive. It's a hard thing, and it seems to get harder and harder the more social media, the more you fall into the social media. I don't want to say, I don't want to demonize it, but the more you fall into social media and not realize that it could be causing more problems than good things. How do you say it?
Mannschaft.
Yeah.
Mineshaft?
Mannschaft.
Mannschaft.
MANN. Shaft.
There's no team in. There's no I in mine
No, there's
shaft.
not.
No.
I'm saying mine shaft like I'm a miner.
I think that's why. Oh, we're almost done.
Germans make a great team.
That's a
so
good
that
thing.
actually makes
Right.
sense. That they
Oh,
wouldn't have a
social
nine
media
team.
conversation could be an entire podcast episode by itself.
Let's
I
do
think.
it. We'll have you
Yes.
back.
Okay. Deal.
Absolutely.
Do you do a lot of social media? Do you Facebook and all that?
I don't do too much, but I have opinions just like everybody else on
You
on
do
it.
not have an opinion.
You stop.
I did Facebook for a little while. I don't really do too much social media anymore. But I do like TikTok.
Right.
I get a lot of feedback from that, and the algorithm is real.
I have
it's
seen
everywhere.
so on Reddit
perfected
they'll
it.
post stuff from Twitter and TikTok, and there was some. I'm sure it's made up. But some kid out there just saw one where the kid goes, puts a pan over his head, and he's like an Australian or New Zealander, and he goes, "What are you doing with that pan on your head?" "I'm protecting myself from hail." And this lightning bolt hits him, and they stop the video.
I've seen that. Yeah.
I fell off my chair watching that, and I'm sure it's fake. I'm if it's real, then I'm really sorry, kid. But
Because
man,
I've laughed too hard at
I
that.
laughed so hard at that. I thought, I'm trying to protect myself from the hail. Bap. And I went, "Oh, you learned the hard way. Oh, God.
Yep.
That was a good accent.
Oh, God. That's the
Yeah.
Upper Peninsula.
It
You're
was
from
like
the Upper Peninsula there.
Wisconsin mixed with Irish.
It's Fargo.
A youper?
Oh, God.
Oh, okay.
You're a youper?
Yeah. You a youper?
Youper.
A friend of mine does this. He and I do a lot of
friend of
accents,
mine.
but some of them I don't think are politically correct, honestly. So I try to find the right audience for it. I don't want to get my ass handed to me.
Have you heard the Glaswegian accent? It's a specific type
No.
of Scottish accent.
I was
No.
going to say, is it like Glasgow and Norwegian or something?
I don't know, but you can't understand a damn word that they're saying.
I can't understand what the Scottish say anyway.
Oh, it gets worse. All right.
I
Let's.
love the accent. I just wish I could do it.
I used to watch this British show called Shetland. It's a crime drama on
Okay.
Netflix. No, not Netflix. BritBox now.
Really?
And I learned some stuff about Shetland that way. Like it used to be, I think, Scandinavian or Norwegian, and it was a dowry to Scotland. They had that like at the
No
end of one of
way.
their episodes. I'm like, they gave whole islands as dowries? God, what a different time.
Here, have this green, rainy mess.
But it's a great
Cheers.
show and beautiful accents.
Yeah. Scottish accents just blow me away. All of the English, because there's like so many different accents. I'll let you do this in a second.
Okay.
I just finished a book, an Orwell book called Homage to Catalonia, and it was read by this guy. Matter of fact, he's on my. I got to look this guy up, but his English was it's so good to hear his English, the way he narrated this book, and it was done back in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
That it's just like I don't drink, but it's like cognac. It was that like listening to it's like that's the way English is supposed to be spoken. Holy cow! I mean,
Nice.
it's English, not
Right.
not American, not what we do to it.
Yeah, we got to get out of here, but
Fine.
you guys have to hear this.
I love the Glaswegian accent, and I was wondering if you could teach me some local phrases.
Well, it's very hard to bring them to mind. This is the thing. It's all right when your eyes look on and happy eyes. You understand?
You understand?
She did not.
I love that he
I'm
finishes
glad
it
you left
with
us with that because I don't know what he said either. I heard the do you
He nailed
understand?
it, though.
Yeah, he did.
That's awesome. But
Oh man, thank you for coming in.
hey,
Oh,
right
thank
into the
you.
show. We want some letters for these
Yes.
round tables.
Yes.
Send in some memes.
Send in
Ooh,
some
and some
memes.
memes.
Send in some roundtable,
Yeah.
some letters. All right.
Halfwattpod@gmail.com.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Half Watt Podcast. We always want to hear from you, and we encourage you to email us at halfwattpod@gmail.com with questions or even your own stories. Funny, crazy, or praiseworthy, we want to hear it all. You can follow us on Instagram at halfwattpod to stay up to date on our feed. And be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And share us with a friend, the best way to help us grow. The Half Watt Podcast is a production of Now Hear This Studios.